Welcome to the Toffee Blues, your source for all things Everton, and welcome to the final extra time segment of the season. Everton won Bournemouth 0, the big one. Day of Destiny, I called it last week, and our destiny is a positive one after that one, at least. So, Everton won Bournemouth 0. We win, crucial win, staying up, staying up. That's the big one, and it was just like that was the order of the day, and we got over the line. you know, we're all very relieved here. And I'll be honest, speaking right now, I'm absolutely mentally drained, but thank goodness for that. I'm joined by Paul and Owen. We'll get straight into it. Paul, I'll go to you first. You were at the match, weren't you?
I was, yep. Worst
Yeah,
experience of my life. Worst experience of my life. I never, ever want to experience anything like that again.
yeah. I think I wasn't in the stadium, but I can completely second it. Um, yeah, it was horrid. Um, I mean,
It
great ending,
was,
but like not for the faint-hearted.
I wouldn't describe anything about the day as great, personally. I get what you mean. It was the ending that we were all hoping for, definitely, but it was nothing to celebrate, really. As was said, it's been said by the manager, it's been said by some of the players, it's been said by a lot of pundits in the national media and a lot of supporters. That result that Everton got the other night was it was so important. It's the biggest game I've ever been to as an Evertonian. The game I don't think I've ever wanted to win a game as much as that. And I've been to cup finals, cup semi-finals, derbies, um, games against just teams and managers who I really don't like. That had the most riding on it of any game I've ever been to. And I'm 29. I've been going to match for 20 years. I'm like a 21st century fan. I don't really remember us in the 90s and the 80s before that. I've never ever experienced anything like that. Like a sort of last day scramble where we're in and out of the relegation zone depending on results in other places. It was too much for me, and the emotion of I get why the emotion kind of overtook a lot of people at the end, but I didn't agree with people running on the pitch and celebrating as if we just won the league or something. I think that was completely the wrong attitude to take, and I'm glad that the vast majority of fans didn't like it. A lot of it was only a couple of hundred by the look of it of fans who ran on the pitch, and the vast majority stayed in the stands and were telling the fans who ran on to get off and not to celebrate. But we'll go into the game in a minute. But I'm so glad this season is done. When you said the final extra time segment of the season, I thought, oh,
It's
that sounds so
nice to hear that,
lovely
isn't
to
it?
hear that.
I think we've
Yeah,
all been counting the
we just don't
days.
have to worry about Everton and football matches for a little bit now. So it's just so glad it's over, but we cannot have a season resembling anything close to this one ever again.
Absolutely. I think we can all agree on that. And I think I've been counting the days down till we did the show and the season was over. And I was hoping it would be this outcome, obviously. But regardless of whether we stayed up or not, I just think at this stage we just wanted the closure of knowing our fate and
Yeah,
get this
everyone had
season
just
out
had
the way.
enough, hadn't they? Everyone had enough of the stress. Just yeah, as you said, just tell us what our fate is so we can just digest and
Get
move
on
on with
with
our
it. Yeah, I
lives.
mean,
Yeah.
it's the outcome we wanted. But like you say, it should never have come to this. I mean, you saying like people running on the pitch and that. I mean, I don't agree with it, but at the same time, like if people did, I'm not really particularly bothered. I think a lot of people did like clear the pitch quite quickly, and like I can kind of understand because I was like screaming like a crank in the pub I was in, and like everyone else was. There was a real outpouring of like joy at first, and that kind of subsided pretty quickly. I don't know if the same sort of mood was in the stadium where the outpouring of sort of joy and relief just turned to anger quite quickly. From what I've heard, I think
Yes, it did.
turned
Yeah.
to sack the board chance and
Yeah,
whatnot,
very
and
quickly.
so it should.
Yeah, I was really happy about that. There was everyone around. I'm in the lower glad. There's everyone around me was hugging and punching the air and saying, "Oh, thank God we've done it." But there was no sort of, let's get up on chairs and start singing songs. And it wasn't that type of atmosphere. It was more, "Oh my God, I can't thank goodness it's over." And then everyone turning towards the director's box and just really letting rip with their anger, as you said. And and
so they should.
nobody going over the one or two people going over the top. Like mostly it was just fans on the pitch who were on the pitch just being stupid and the police having to deal with them. But that was really only a handful of people. Even the majority of the people who were on the pitch, as you said, got off pretty quickly after they'd had the fun. Vast majority of people after they'd sort of had a hug and took a breath. Then, as you mentioned, really started to get angry then and voice their anger, the dissatisfaction towards the people running the club and making a real point rather than just sort of basking in what has happened.
There's nothing to bask in, really. I mean,
Yeah,
we were happy and we were relieved that it was over, but and we got the right outcome. But beyond that, all eyes. I think before we went into this recording, me and Owen were speaking as well. Like all eyes have got to turn to next season now and make sure that the structure of the club and the boardroom situation's resolved by the time the pre-season comes around, and we've got a decent build on, and so we're not in this waiting for the third year running. We can't have 3 years on the spin of this. I don't think any of our tickets can take it, to be honest with you.
yeah, I can only speak for myself, but I haven't got another sort of
Dog
what's the
fight.
word? Yeah, I haven't got the spirit in me, honestly, to sort of keep going to the stadium when we're in the relegation zone and roaring the players on and dragging the team over the line and sort of digging down deep when it comes to loving Everton. And even though you really desperately want to just say sod this, I've had enough, and your heart won't let you.
That beats for it,
I
doesn't
don't
it?
think the fan base, especially likes of me, can go to the well like that again. I just have not got another sort of all or nothing dogfight
Not,
in us.
not in the tank. It's like
No,
we all need to sort of, group and sort of, to be honest, we need to fight. We need to keep fighting, but for something different now. We need to fight to get rid of the board. We need
yeah,
to get the changes done ASAP and get everything resolved, ready for hopefully a better season next year. Um,
yeah,
I'm going to turn to Owen now because obviously the reason we did achieve what we achieved is down to a certain man who Owen's long since heralded before many a person did. So I'm going to turn to you, Owen, and like say to you, obviously me and you did the show when Dyche was unveiled and the end of January, and we were saying then, I think we were 19th, maybe even 20th, and we looked at and buried, and we said, I think I don't think we were going to stay up, but if anyone was going to give us a chance, it was him, and lo and behold, he gave us a chance, and we took it. You know, it's testament to Sean Dyche that we've got over the mark. Let's be honest.
Yeah, I think we were on that show, and I think me and Paul were the boozer that night, and I don't think either of us truly believed we would stay up. I think we were looking to be positive and looking that maybe we sort of inject some spirit, and that there would be a bit more about us, but I didn't think I didn't think we could do it. Mainly, we didn't think we could do it, and then 2 days later, another attacking option left and no one else came in just to add to the difficulties. That's been the board issues have been discussed in huge depth. They cannot return. They won't return. I don't think. Everton need
Why
to
should they?
Everton need to see if they can get a bit of money together this summer. But I do believe there's a football structure in place at the football club now. I think Kevin Thelwell's been at the football club a while now, and it's time for him to start being able to have a bit of an impact.
Got to pull
Um,
socks up, Manny.
yeah, he's had his feet under the table a while now, so it's time for him to deliver. Um, and yeah, I think we had 15 points on the 1st of February. That I think someone told me on Twitter the other day in like the past 15 years or whatever, only one club has stayed up with a similar points total on the 1st of February. And I bet that club didn't have the star striker out for the next 4 months. No fit fullback by the end of the season. And then
I'm
ending the season
assuming was
over
that
at
West Brom.
I
Not that
think it was
West
West
Brom.
Brom with yeah.
Ryan
Ryan, yeah,
Robson, yeah.
I think
was it Brian?
I don't think they went through what we went through in
Brought Super
terms of
Kevin, didn't he, from us? We told Super Kev to them, and he
did
done
this
what he
South
done.
Africa.
He did what he did for us in '99 for West Brom, I think.
Did he?
So
Did he?
we didn't have none of that this year. We
And
didn't have, we didn't
we
have
had
the
no striker.
striker.
We had a horrible amalgamation of um, Neil Maupay, Ellis Simpson, Damari Gray. Neither of whom are good enough. Damari Gray, right? He put years on me on Sunday. But I don't want to dwell on that. But yeah, we had 15 points on the 1st of February and ended the season with somehow a weaker squad than we started it. The manager deserves enormous respect and credit for keeping Everton up because I don't think any of us thought it was possible. I think he's pulled a few rabbits out of the hat in terms of some improvements in some of the players. The spirit level, I think, is what been for me because if you have a look at some of the late equalisers we got and some of the draws we ground out, we wouldn't have stayed up without that. We can all talk about winning games and that, but essentially it's the mean equaliser, the Sims equaliser, and the Keane equaliser. They've kept us in the Premier League, and that's spirit, that's believing in what you're doing, that's
That's his
working hard.
character,
That's its character, and it's
not Martinez's character, like actual character.
no, it's showing bollocks, and it's going out there. And but we all know that these footballers aren't great. We know half the reason why they're still here. Some of them are why they are here. But I'm not willing to question their character after the second half of the season because apart from a dodgy second half against Fulham, where I think they all shat themselves, I think every one of them's given every inch of everything, and I think that comes from the manager, and I think he's done a, a really good job, and I'm really calm and relieved that he'll have a full season out of a pre-season, and hopefully someone finds him a bit of money for once in his career because he's never had it. And not talking a war chest, but a few million here and there just to bring a striker in or another centre back and a full back. Just the very like basics of how a football team should operate. It hasn't been there, and we need changes on the pitch. We need changes off the pitch. But the only reason any of this kind of change in a positive light of Premier League football and a small amount of financial security and general happiness for us all is there is because of Sean Dyche, and I'm really happy for him because he didn't deserve an Everton relegation on his CV. I'm happy for the fans, happy for the players, but those in the boardroom, they don't deserve it.
You don't deserve anything.
These are the
Uh,
people who wanted to get Marcelo Bielsa and had to be told by Marcelo Bielsa that he wasn't suitable for the job.
I know,
sorry, but what an under 21s we'd have.
I'll tell you what,
I
we'd
know,
have won that league again.
I know. When I look at it over the last few years, are there any examples, bona fide, nailed on examples of when you look at it and you say, right, that team stayed up purely because of the manager? There's been managers who've come in, teams that have
Really,
brought managers in mid-season and or into the second half of seasons, and they've got out of they've got out of the relegation zone by the skin of the teeth. But is there been many examples where you look at it and you think, you know what, that manager is absolutely the reason they stayed up? There's a handful.
Single-handedly responsible.
There's there's Allardyce at Sunderland for a few years ago. There was
Yeah.
Roy Hodgson with West Brom, I think about a decade or so ago.
and Palace
Uh,
a few seasons ago, they get 10
Palace,
games, no goals.
Arguably Palace again this time because they looked in
They
trouble when he
they
got
were,
there.
but they did have a really good team. They
Yeah,
shouldn't
but
have been anywhere near where they
Hodgson
were.
at Fulham as well.
Oh yeah, that was the one. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, Hodgson had one or two like really good examples of it, didn't he? Allardyce got his fireman Sam tag from what he went into Sunderland when they looked really dead and buried, and he rescued them. There's a few others like I don't count Lampard coming into us last season personally. I think the fans
No,
deserve the
Yeah,
credit for that.
I think the right manager wouldn't have needed the Palace game last season.
no, they would. especially with Richarlison, and we were
He
in a
has a better
pretty healthy.
team up top last
I
year than
know
we
we
did
didn't
now.
feel it at the time, but we were in a pretty good place to stay up when Benitez left. It just needed someone who weren't a complete dickhead to come in and say, "This is what we're doing."
Yeah,
I
pretty
think
much. But
it didn't need like the surgery it needed this season.
And
when
on that
Sean,
note, I'm actually going to touch on that now because obviously the winning goal that's up after all this was an absolute cracker from Abdoulaye Doucouré, who has written himself into Everton folklore with a crucial goal. And he was frozen out by Lampard. So,
his form
what a
dropped off.
redemption arc it's been for him.
His form did drop off quite a bit um, for a
It
good
did.
while, and he deserved to come out the team when he did. But I think, yeah, by the end, Lampard was ripping his nose off to spite his face by not using him more, wasn't he?
Well,
Because he was willing to drop other players and bring them back, the likes of Keane, the likes of Damari Gray, the likes of who else has been there? Coleman. Players like them were kind of in and out a little bit under Lampard when they had bad form and made bad mistakes. And that Decore had bad form, and he never really got a sniff again, did he? And I don't think it was all Decore was completely faultless and that sort of thing. I think at times he did needed to book his ideas up a little bit, but it does go on to show that maybe sometimes you have to accept the fact that players are temperamental and they just need a manager who will trust them a little bit more, or just is a better communicator with them. And if they get that, they'll find themselves again and start performing up to the normal levels. And thank God we got that, because Decore's probably
I,
been our most important player, other than maybe Pickford, over the last 2 months or so.
Hmm
I don't think someone who's watching could prove me wrong. I don't think anyone, both at Watford or Everton, has ever questioned Decore's attitude before. So I find that an interesting one because the one thing that's always struck me about him is he's got a pretty fantastic mentality.
Yeah, he
He
seems like
always
a
keeps
he's a
running.
good grafter.
But I think his issue was the same issue as I had. Was why the hell are we playing possession-based football with the team we've got? And he questioned it. I think we all questioned it as well. I
I
think that
agree.
he
Like,
shouldn't have sat on the ball. He was a bit of a dickhead doing that. But I think I'd have been questioning Lampard's tactics if I was in the dressing room as well. But, you know, so it's a bit of a weird one. But he should he should be absolutely embarrassed about his 2023 season, Frank Lampard. I don't think it could have gone worse for the fella.
Yeah, I mean, he won't work again. I mean, I haven't got anything personal against Lampard. I concede that he's a very terrible football manager. But going back to Sean Dyche, because he deserves all the plaudits. You mentioned it earlier on. The night he was announced, though, and it was me, you, and our Terry and Abuza, wasn't it? I think, and
Yeah,
I can't remember how many games we played. I think it was when we played. It was 1st of February, but we played
21
like
weren't it?
21.
Yeah,
Was
I
it?
think something
I
like that.
remember saying to you and our Terry, because we were sat on 15 points. We had, I think, 17 games to play, and we were on 15 points. And I said, we need minimum 20 points. We are not staying up on anything less than 36. And I did not see him getting 20 points for the life of me. I couldn't see any manager coming in and getting 20 points out of that Everton team.
No one did.
We'll make a, I thought we'll make a fight of it. I think we'll maybe get a dozen or so. We'll win maybe 3 or 4. We'll draw 3 or 4. But I still thought we're going to lose at least another 8 or 9. And
I'm
I don't
astonished
know
we stayed up.
how many games that we win under. Have we won under Dyche now? Is it 5?
Five, maybe.
Five,
Yeah,
yeah. Five and
Yeah,
loads
5.
of draws.
Yeah, so we got what we needed. He got us 21 points, and that was enough. He got us to 36, and that kept us up. It's an appalling um, points tally overall, but he wasn't here for 60% of the season, was he? So I think I've seen the stats that if you average it out, I can't remember. It was something like a point, just over a point a game. Like, I think it was like 1.3 points a game, maybe something like that. If Dyche had basically been in charge since the start of the season, then on average we'd have finished somewhere in the mid 40s and points
Oh,
tally and mid
13,
40s.
something like that it was, wasn't it?
Yeah, 13th, 14th, and to get this squad to 13th or 14th, that's I think you deserve a shout for manager of the season. If anyone could have got this squad to 13th,
Yeah,
14th.
I was I would have given my vote to Gary O'Neill at Bournemouth, given the calamity at Bournemouth before he went in there. But no, I think I don't think there was a manager out there who could have done better. There was no one who
No,
was doing better than this.
and there's a
Not a
lot of
chance.
good managers out there who let's just imagine it for a minute. Let's just pretend that Bielsa wasn't the only other option that was really on the table. There was a lot of other good managers around the Premier League and around Europe who you could have parachuted into that job on February 1st when we were sat on 15 points, and they would not have kept Everton up because they wouldn't have had the mentality, and they wouldn't have had the style, and they wouldn't have had the sort of personality to get Everton in fighting and get Everton grafted and get Everton into workhorses. They'd have just overcomplicated it, like Frank Lampard did, or they'd have realised very quickly that the players can't play the type of style they know. Dice didn't do any of that. He just went back to what works, and what always works in football is players who work hard.
Yeah, a lot of the time managers to try and reinvent the wheel of football clubs and try and play beautiful football and expect to get the results go with it. We're not in that position for a long time to be expecting a brand or anything, just trying to get through the next couple of seasons unscathed. It sounds quite dull, but I think there's an excitement in the progression that could take place the next 3 or 4 years. Just every year getting a bit better by 3 or 4 points,
Yeah,
just getting over the line.
Hopefully, just
Just
get
keep
us
getting,
it up
into
to
getting
date,
better.
right?
get us into
Like
the stadium
2024.
with nothing dramatic happening in the meantime, like us getting relegated or us having a transfer ban or literally any player who's got any ability at all just being flogged to keep the doors open.
Yeah,
You're
I
looking
mean,
for a few seasons of a Palace, aren't you?
well, that
Basically,
was what
yeah,
that was what
Um,
my colleague in work said that he wants a Palace season.
yeah, the 12th.
12th, 13th,
They
no
finished
messing,
11th in
just
the end, didn't they?
get it done.
I wouldn't. Do you know what? I wouldn't give a shit if we had a season like it was the first season I ever went to. It was Moyes' second year, 2003-04, where we ended up finishing fourth from bottom in the end, but we were never in a
The 12th
relegation
after
battle.
season.
Yeah, we were fine. We just had a really bad run towards in the final month or so, and ended up dropping down a few places in the league. But we were never at any point in danger of going. We were safe by spring easily. I wouldn't care if we had that.
Yeah,
Just
Yeah,
we beat Spurs
I don't
on
want
Easter
any.
Monday that year, and
Yeah,
we went 11th and then lost every other game after that.
yeah. I just don't want a season where everyone's having sleepless nights. I don't want a season where I'm having to look at other teams around us and think, oh my god, I really hope that they don't win this weekend because we're banging trouble. I don't want a season where if one player gets injured, you think, oh, that's it, we're not winning any game for the next month. Do you know what I mean? We need just to have just a quiet time, a quiet time, just less stressful. We're not asking for trophies. We're not asking for us to kick on and achieve something substantial. We just want to be able to support the club and not feel like it's draining your life doing it.
On that note, there's actually a really interesting statistic about like that season in particular, Paul. What you were on about is we finished 17th that season as well. Leicester finished 18th and Leeds finished 19th that season as well, which is really
Yeah, I
mad.
remember it. It was the year that Leeds went down and didn't come back for ages. They had like the likes of Alan Smith and Mark Paducah and someone else who I'm thinking of.
was there much anxiety that year, Paul?
Not really.
No, not really. It was kind of just like, oh, this isn't this. It wasn't anxiety. It was just depression because you knew the club
Miserable,
was.
yeah.
Yeah, it was like during that, like, and there was a lot of seasons like that around the late 90s, early 2000s, wasn't there? Where around the Walter Smith years, other than Moyes, that year Moyes got a seventh. Um, we had a lot of, we had like, what was it, like five bottom half finishes out of, or six, we had 6 or 7 bottom half finishes out of 8. It was just one of those years where you knew Everton were just what they are now, just part of the pack really, and
Mm.
not going to achieve anything until the club gets run properly and an owner comes in. But no, there was no at any point people thinking we could go down here. It was more just like, oh, our away form's absolutely dreadful. We're only winning like one game in 3 or one game in 4. We've got no chance of getting anywhere in the top half. And then we just had a really bad final month and ended up, I think the last game of the season, we got beat by Man City 5-1. Paolo
Yeah,
Longchon. Do you remember him?
yeah, I remember him
Um,
indeed.
yeah,
But yeah, what I
you know,
found
three.
really interesting, what I was really interesting about that, we finished 17th, Leicester 18th, and Leeds 19th. Anyone remember what we did the year after?
We
Oh.
went finished fourth.
Yeah, well,
Largely the same team, other
you
than
never
just
know. We're an even
yeah,
weaker team.
well, we signed Marcus Bent, who just ran his balls off up top, didn't we? And we had Tommy Gravison in the form of his life for like half a season until he got off to Real Madrid. And just, Alan Stubbs and David Weir had a really good partnership. And we got, again, one of my favourite ex-Everton players. We got Nigel Martin in goal, who made all the difference in the way. We would have probably been in a relegation battle, or if not gone down without Nigel Martin. He was worth double. He was worth 10 points on his own in that 03-04 season.
Insane,
Completely.
yeah.
Yeah, he was so important. So there
You
would
could
have been
say the
so much
same.
anxiety if he hadn't been there.
Say the same for Jordan Pickford this season. I mean, but he's kept us up this year, Jordan Pickford. I mean, he spoke like single-handedly with that one penalty save from James Maddison. It's the difference between us
Oh,
finishing above Leicester.
do you know what? I've never watched that penalty save back, and I never will because it's sailing too close to the wind. It would be like watching your mum dodge a bullet. Watching that, honestly, because if that Madison scores that goal and we're 3-1 down on that night,
Finished.
we're gone that night. We're gone that night, as far as I'm concerned.
And
I
we
can't bear
battered
to
them that
watch it.
game as well.
Yeah, I can't bear to watch that
Proper sliding
even
door
though
stuff in
it's
it.
ultimately worked out for us. We haven't gone down unless they have. I still can't bear to go back and view it.
But they'll
So,
be sick thinking about that.
Of course, I know. Of course, they will.
yeah, well, we'll leave it at that. We've looked on enough trauma for now. But
Oh, I don't want to
don't worry,
do
guys.
too
We've
much
got a
looking back.
season. We've got a season review coming up for you later on in the next couple of weeks. So tune in for that. And if you really want to,
Sure, we'll be in calmer
yeah,
minds
if
to
you really
review it
want to
then.
put your stomach through it. But yeah, until now, we'll leave it at that. Everton 1, Bournemouth 0. Everton stay up. Fantastic stuff. Well, sort of. It was a relief more than anything else. Everton get the win we needed, and the season's done and dusted. Thank goodness for that. And
Goodison's final season
it's a Premier League
supposedly
one.
will be still in the Premier League. If we'd have had to spend Goodison's final year in the second division, I think that would have been one of the things that would have made me really think about, do I even want to keep watching football?
Uh, but yeah, we'll have to fight another day. And yeah, until that traumatic season review, we'll see you again soon, guys. Thanks for tuning in on the Toffee Blues.